everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Birthright for you here as we're working our way through the last few bits for the Brecht realms. And one of the cool things with this whole expansion is, aside from, obviously all the areas to play in and adventure in, it does actually give you a extra class for the game that's unique to Birthright, although you could, tweak it for your own settings as well and your own campaigns, and that is the Gilder subclass. So let's jump right in and then take a look at what this class does for us. So while warriors, priests, and wizards developed as adventuring classes in other nations, the Brechts evolved the Gilder. So built from the less civilized thief class, the Gilder is an adventuring trader, an individual who braves expedition into unknown territory primarily for the love of money. So the Gilder makes deals, trades, and explores in the name of capitalism, a philosophy the Brecht nations have embraced wholeheartedly. So let's take a look at the requirements. They're not overly asking for much here. So as long as you have intelligence and wisdom of 9, basically, those are the requisites, and essentially any races can fit in here. So it's very wide open. Gilders specialize in trade, profit, and marketability, arbitrage, and monetary concerns. They capitalize on non-weapon proficiencies that help them practice in a commercial venue. So in Cerealia, the Gilder also represents a new social class, which would be the middle class. Sort of an emerging middle class, especially in the Brecht areas. Gilders can be nobles or commoners, but they generally fall into the middle layers of income, so in that incredibly wide gap between royalty and peasants, basically. So while only blooded characters can be regents, unblooded Gilders can actually accumulate sizable fortunes and significant influence, so it's a neat departure from basically all the other areas in the setting, where it's more feudal, and again, you have your nobles and your peasants, and then that's basically it. Here we get this emergence of middle class and some of the things that can signify. So, but Gilders are not simply merchants or tradesmen. A blacksmith or a wool merchant is not automatically considered a Gilder, regardless of how talented they might be. So just as knowing how to shoot a bow or swing a sword doesn't make a person a warrior, possessing a marketable skill doesn't make someone a Gilder. So, only adventurous people of a certain metal can become Gilders. The Gilders manage work in guilds and perform trade, but they can also adventure like fighters, clerics, thieves, and wizards. Their primary interest, however, lies in turning a profit consistently. So while a warrior might believe that slaying a band of Orogs and taking their treasure is a fine way to turn a profit, a Gilder might choose to negotiate with the Orogs and give them something in return for not disrupting his future business interests. Such an arrangement could be more profitable in the long run. Many Brechts become Gilders in careers as sailors, merchants, farmers, and more. Unblooded Gilders tend to progress within established guilds and become lieutenants, sea captains, trade emissaries, and so on. Whereas blooded Gilders may work to become regents of their own guilds and strive to establish their personal regency power in the thriving mercantile lands around the Great Bay. So, a couple different layers within that as well. Non-Brechts sometimes become Gilders if they've had extensive adventuring of or life experience within the area of the Great Bay. Since the Gilder class is unique to this regions, Canasi, Voss, and Weirin and Rurik Gilders are unusual, but still could happen. Dwarves do make excellent Gilders. Elf Gilders are all but unheard of, though, and half-elves tend to fit well within this class as well. Halflings certainly exceptional Gilders. The Burrows is a source of many unblooded Gilders within the Great Bay region. Gilders follow the general rules, so experience, hit points, etc. for thieves. Non-human Gilders respect the same class level limitations that they would have for thieves as well. And again, this is going back to certain second ed restrictions and stuff. You can obviously adjust it for whatever edition of the game you are playing. Gilder with an intelligence score of 16 or greater actually receives a 10% bonus to experience points, which is pretty sweet. DMs who award bonus experience points for role-playing or individual success should consider granting bonuses for Gilders who create or facilitate trade routes between guilds in which they have an interest. As mentioned, Gilders should be considered adventurers just like thieves and wizards. Gilders might fight as well as thieves, but are allowed a better selection of weapons and armor. Gilder characters may use any weapon or armor found in Cerealia, though they tend to avoid heavy armor, especially at sea, in all but the most extreme cases. But they could use it if needed, which is cool. Like other classes, Gilders receive special benefits as they progress in level, so the Gilders are granted the Thief skill to read languages at a base of 20% plus 5% per level of experience, so max 95. This ability extends to all non-magical languages. Guilders can gain non-weapon proficiency slots at the same rate as thieves. In addition, they gain a bonus slot for every level of experience they achieve. Guilder regents may learn the non-weapon proficiencies listed in the Birthright rulebook. And they're not allowed other thief skills like picklockets or move silently, since that's not really their focus. Guilder regents, though, gain benefits when performing certain domain actions. So whenever a Guilder regent performs any of the following actions, he gets a +1 bonus to the die roll. So you got things like build, contest, create, holding, decree, diplomacy, espionage, exploratory trade, ply trade, sea trade route, rule, trade route, and trade chain. And those are actually a couple of new abilities that are also present in this expansion. So another reason to pick it up, expand your potential domain actions. Finally, then, last few things here. Guilders can be of any alignment, although they tend towards law and neutrality, because obviously with chaos it's a little harder to profitably organize trade. Finally, Guilders cannot learn spells and can use only scrolls and other magical items useful by rogues. Obvious exceptions include weapons and armor not normally allowed to rogues, since Guilders can use all weapons and armor. For example, a Guilder could use a Rod of Lordly Might, since it functions as a combination of magical weapons usable by Guilders. There's a few items that would be of no use to them, again, depending on the edition you're playing, if these are still items that are available. But back in the day, there used to be something called Manual of Stealthy Pilfering, for example. It doesn't help Guilders since they don't practice standard thievery. Guilders, unlike thieves, never gain the ability to use wizard or priest scrolls. That being said, obviously, since it's open to other classes, or people who can potentially multi-class, you know, depending on what you and your DM want to allow, there could be a little bit of crossover. Could be a little bit of crossover there. So, all in all, a nice addition to the game. Another class, something that's definitely going to be a different focus than just what the established classes have. So, but being able to mix in certain things, such as the nice thing here, again, access to all weapons and armor, so really you're not necessarily going to be limited, but this could be an interesting one that is also maybe slightly multi-classed if possible, or however you are using that potential for being more than one class in your particular edition. But overall, interesting stuff here. And again, obviously certain races tend to go pretty well for that. As they mentioned, dwarves and halflings, certainly easy to go with, and obviously Brecht humans in particular. So interesting stuff nonetheless. But let us know, guys, if you've actually adventured as a Guilder in your campaigns, or if you've encountered Guilders and how, like as a DM, you've maybe incorporated that into your notable campaigns. So be sure to hit us up in the comments there, guys. Like and subscribe. We'll have much more Birthright for you soon. Thanks for watching.